welcome everyone. It is now the top of the hour, so we are going to go ahead and jump into this month's webinar, which is going to be about the release. We've had our last release of the year. Pretty exciting. Now, this one might not go as long as the previous release. There is a lot of great things, but not overwhelming amounts. So I will be covering these construction enhancements, create construction projects, cost codes or tasks, and cost type with default purchasing tax schedule. This is good news, right? So when those vendor invoices are coming in through purchasing, you now have the option to apply a tax schedule or not. Okay, we do have a new process too that's going out that anybody who's new, we actually have a tax module that is part of that construction core package. So if you need to know more about that, let us know. View retainage release details from a release batch of bill or invoice, which is great. They've been slowly building that out for us and doing such a great job. And then we'll go into allow excess billing on progress based contract lines. We're talking about the prime contract lines that you create, right? Previously, maximum was no maximum was set for just T&M, but I'll show you that we now have it available for progress-based billing. Enhancements in WIP management. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I don't have a great a demo of that. They did show us in the demo that we had for partners the other day where those buttons exactly are. I have a good guess where they're supposed to be, but I'll show you in the system about WIP management and where they will be coming up. Then also enhancements in Sage Intacct construction payroll. So if you are a Sage Intacct construction payroll person, this means the built-in module for Sage Intacct. There's not very many of you, so that's why I'm not going to go too deep into that. I just wanted to make sure that I informed you that there is some updates out there. I'll show you how to get to those updates and that information. Also, if you need to know anything else, please let us know. We're always happy to answer all of those questions. Okay, Sage Intacct accounting core enhancements. The very first one I want to get into, which is so exciting, is they gave us this new close workspace. It's a new feature enhancement for the new Copilot Close Assistant. Remember, Copilot is our AI assistant that is built into Sage Intacct now. And I know that some of you have been maybe too busy to really delve in and take advantage of it or trust it or know how to even use it. I'll show you a quick little demo on that today, but it is now on general release, and the closing assistant is exactly what it sounds like. It will help you with your closing process. Also, they have now released with the close checklist, this close progress monitor over here, which is a dashboard. And for anybody who's ever worked with me, they know how much I love my dashboards because, guys, this is real-time reporting, right? One single click and you have all of your data at your fingertips, all combined and reportable. So you can just take a look at it and get the information you need at a glance, okay? Also, it has an integration with Sage Collaborate. Now, Sage Collaborate was previously called Intacct Collaborate. It was more of a Salesforce product integration. Sage has now taken that over, and they're now calling it Sage Collaborate. That's that interoffice chat that you have available, and I'll show you a little bit more about that when I dive into the system as well. But I want you to take a good look at this dashboard because I just got this feature last night, and so I haven't had a chance to build it out and get it to populate data, but I'll show you where it's at. But look at this. It's really cool because it shows you what filters you have, right? It tells you anything overdue, things that are at risk, on track, completed. And then it gives you this nice visual graph, which I really like, because then you can just see, okay, I'm like 75% done with my AP and so on. Then it'll have this list for the top 10 tasks overdue. When you drill into that link, it'll take you directly to the closing GL option in the menu, okay? Then you have these tasks over here and who you've issued to be in charge and take ownership of that, right? How many days due date. It's really, really cool. A couple of really important things that I wanted to make sure that is more on the general side. This doesn't apply to just construction. This is anybody with the accounting core package. So I'm talking to all of you, family offices, real estate, those kinds of things. The customer payment service integrations that are integrating with authorized.net as that middleware essentially, or PayPal, is retired on November 7th, 2025, if you didn't know that. So just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this. A lot of information's went out about it, but I know it's hard to keep up sometimes, especially during the end of the year and everything going on. So if this is you, reach out to us if you need help with that. Essentially, that means that customer payment services and APIs for customer bank and credit cards accounts are no longer supported to process payments. And the effect of that could be that if you have anything set up on recurring invoices, which I know a lot of you do, I know some of you are shaking your head, yes, I can feel it, then yes, then we need to address this issue with you. Again, any authorized.net or PayPal. And they have given us the solution for VersaPay. There's a lot of reasons why they're doing this. Essentially, it comes down to security and stuff and streamlining the process for you. The other thing that I thought was very important too, that I think we all struggle with at one time or another, combining debit and credit transaction amounts for easier matching in cash management. Okay, so there is now the ability to automate that process with the reconciliation rules. Reconciliation rules are rules that we've set up in the back end of your instance that tells the workflow for your reconciliation process, right? Very similar to like matching rules, also very similar to like transaction definitions, same concept, right? So that's what a reconciliation rule is. Your consultants typically are the ones that do that for you, but you might be familiar with it. But it'll let you set up a rule that's going to let you to match a transaction and associated fees or charges into Intacct into a single bank transaction, right? So a couple of important notes there. Sage Collaborate, last thing we're going to talk about that I thought was really important for our customer base is Sage Collaborate versus the Intacct Collaborate I was just speaking to a moment ago, right? If you have it turned on and you have permissions, you will get this little bubble in the upper right-hand corner of your home screen or any screen that you're in Sage Intacct. You simply click on that bubble. This window generates, and you can see it's very social media feel, right? But this is for any of your users in the Sage Intacct system. You can at them, like at AP department, what's going on with this bill, right? And attach the file. One thing that I thought was very helpful, I used to have a demo that I'm building out my new demo now, but my old demo, I had lots of contracts in this for the contract, the prime contract, and then I wanted all my commitments tied to it. I wanted the hard copies there. I used this with the Collaborate because it takes a lot of files and it gives you kind of like a little icon picture of it. So it's pretty cool. Again, like our attachments field, it's not HIPAA compliant. You do have full control to who has permissions to it or not on the user type. So like in users and roles in the user type, there's a little checkbox for the individual user that says exclude from Collaborate, right? So some really cool things there. And let me pull up the demo here. You slide over the right web browser. Okay. So for the Copilot, okay, I've set up this demo here. And in Copilot, for the Copilot Assist, there's a couple of ways I want you to experience this. And my favorite way is this way. You come up here, once you get this enabled, right, you'll then see this pop up. If you've used the AI help, right, many of you have seen in the help drop down, you have the search help. Notice, right? It's Copilot driven as well. But this is how easy it is, right? I click on that and it says, hey, the books are fully closed through 1/1/1970. What period are you wanting closed? Oh, let's go with month end January 23rd. Awesome. That says this is what you need to do. You can click right there in those links and it'll take you to the task directly. You can view the closed book overview. It's very, very cool. So also the other way to get to it here is through the actual module menu, like you would any other, let me minimize that, any other module, right? You have a closed workspace, all and setup, and then you have your tasks. Tasks for closed workspace, right? You're going to set them up just like you do other things in Sage Intacct, the task types and all of that. This is really cool. When you set up the closed workspace, it takes you in there and it kind of walks you all through. So it's pretty easy. I didn't get a chance to build it all out, but what I wanted you to see was in here. Oh yeah, no, that's what I wanted to do. Sorry. Is if we say, let's go ahead and say close workspace, and I go to add, right? And I say, you know what? There's already multiple templates provided for you. Some of you that have been implemented for a while, if you're taking advantage of the built-in checklist, right? There's this option in the built-in checklist for here, right? It's the same concept, but these are built out. Previously, everybody might have been taking, writing down your month-end close or your year-end or your quarterly close on a spreadsheet outside the system, right? Well, we always want to solve for you to bring everything into one system, automate as much as you can to give you back as much valuable, time that you need to get your other tasks done. So you can see in here, right? If we said, oh, I'm going to set up a checklist template, it generates all the tasks for you. It's just wonderful. Then all you have to do is come in and assign that Sage Intacct user, give it a date. So then it all comes over to that closed progress monitor, right? So you can come in here. This is the one I was showing you on the slide. I don't have that pretty graph or data in here yet. I just got this last night, but you can see, right, how that will all flow in and you have complete control of it. So again, if you haven't ever played with the AI assistant here, I absolutely recommend it. Everybody has that available to you here for the search help, and it's wonderful. You can go to Help Center and type in keywords, or now here you can come in and actually say, hey, how do I avoid a check? How do, those types of things. So that's why I just thought, that was really cool, and I wanted to show that to you guys. All right, let's get into some construction stuff. So what we have here, is you're going to be able to set the default purchasing tax schedule for a project, cost code, and cost type. Pretty cool. So when you go into your project record, notice that I'm in an actual project. So I go to my project, I go to additional information tab. You will now see this section here that is called tax settings. It shows your tax schedule options for the project based on location, right? When you set these up, there's a lot of setup to taxes, and they tie to the location, okay? And then in here, it's just stating simply that then you do the drop down and you select the appropriate tax schedule, right? So that's really nice. Also, yeah, there's going to be times you don't want a tax schedule, right? So you can override an existing project tax schedule or not select one at all. So, and then your purchasing line items are pre-filled hierarchical with the assigned tax schedule for the project, cost code, and cost type. What does that mean? When you're in your entries table and your entry items, right, at the bottom of your bill and your invoices, you're putting the accounts and the amounts and your project and all of your, cost code, cost type, and your dimensions. We've set up, anybody who's using the project one with a cadence, usually it's like the account, then the project, and then the based on the project, the cost code and cost type pre-fills. That's kind of what it's saying here, right? So it'll pre-fill based on whatever you've assigned. So pretty easy, right, to set up and get it going. So that's really nice. Thank you, Sage, for that. Next one we have here is view retainage release details from release batch, bill, or invoice. Okay, so they're giving us more and more detail and capability in the retainage features, which is just priceless, right? Now, when you go into AP, and I'll show you in a little demo where this menu item is. Most of you probably already know. And some of you aren't even doing retainage in the system, but maybe this will inspire you to start doing that. But AP retainage, this general tab is new. This retainage releases details tab is new. The general tab used to just show you, all the information. So what was on the main page, what you saw before, is now on the general tab. Okay, so all the options and details, all that good stuff. Then they added this, the retainage release details tab, and that displays all of your AP retainage release batch detail, right? And notice it's all drillable. On the bottom here, we have an AP retainage invoice or bill. And, then you've got that retainage release details tab there. And you'll be able to easily find that release batch that generated the bill and tell whether the batch has been processed or not. Retainage release batch, it'll let you drill into the batch. And also the state. State never really means like California, Oregon, Washington. It always means like, where is it? Is it, is it ready to be approved? Has it been released? So all of that is at your fingertips. Also, same thing for AR. So two sides to it in an AP, two sides to it in AR. Same thing. Sage Intacct is really great about kind of streamlining how we navigate in the system and making invoices and bills very similar in their ways with, their few differences. But again, with the general tab, all the information you're used to seeing previously is available still here. When you click on the retainage release, you're going to get all of that option and detail info. Same thing with like an invoice. This is an AR retainage invoice. You can drill right into the batch it's associated with and see if it's been released, all from the invoice now. A little notes I have over here. What I'm saying is that you can come up here and click on any of your column headers and organize them ascending or descending in any order that you want, just like you can any other column headers in the system. You can export the grid to a CSV file. And this is really powerful for some people, right? Because sometimes we just want to see it in that Excel format. Okay. And then also, again, almost all of the links are drillable if you didn't notice, which is nice, which means you don't have to open that second tab, that second web browser tab and do all of that, navigate in. You just drill down straight from the main record. This is a great one too. This one used to throw me back in the beginning of the Sage Intacct CRE construction package because they didn't have this. But now you can set progress-based project contract lines to an unrestricted billing amount instead of using change management or revising contract lines amounts manually. Thank you, right? What we wanted is this progress bill. It used to only be for time and material bill, the known maximum. Now we have a known maximum available for us. Okay. And I do believe that still holds in sync with, there's some warnings you can set up in the system to just give you a message, say, hey, you've hit the maximum, but still let you continue working. Okay. So that's really nice. If, that's been something that you guys dealt with before. Sometimes, things change throughout the project. So WIP management, work in progress management. If you are not using the WIP module, the WIP management module is what we've always called it. More recently, I've heard some people calling it WIP scheduler, which is interesting. Whatever it is, WIP is WIP in Sage Intacct. If you're not using it, I can't urge you enough to try to start using it, right? Some of the complaints were about the billings and this and that. It views everything for us now. So they're also just added 2 new buttons above the grid to let you easily update CFO forecast to show that a project is complete in terms of cost or billings. And when it does that, if you set both to complete, job to date, overbilled, and underbilled, it'll show a 0 now. Previously, it didn't do that for us. So that's kind of nice, right? So, and I don't have that, the the buttons that they're speaking to in my demo for some reason. So, but I wanted to make sure that you got this information. So I have to troubleshoot mine a little bit, but I'll show you where WIP is to make sure that everybody on this call is familiar with WIP, because if you're not using the WIP setup in Sage Intacct, you're kind of, you know, doing a lot of extra work probably outside the system that you could bring into the system, or your reports might be very customized and hard to configure and things like that if you're not doing it with the WIP management module. To set this up, there has been a new configuration checkbox here. No worries, it is set up by default. Okay, so you don't have to do anything, but I wanted to show it to you because maybe you didn't want it on, right? If you don't want it on, you have to have your admin rights, go into your projects and configuration, go down to your WIP management section, and boom, deselect it, and then make sure that you save it. Well, let me get back in over here. And what I wanted to show you was just kind of those things that we just went over and where they are, so they can just feel very familiar to you. And the first one is that project, right? We go into project and setup, project contract, or project information. And then you'll see here, right? Like I said, I don't have taxes completely configured in here yet, but that is the tax settings that I showed you on that slide, right? So again, project record, additional information tab. And I feel like that is very, it makes sense for how they've had us, you know, navigating in this system to this area, right? So then that way, you know, it'll be easy for you to find. Retainage release. Okay, so if we go into AP, here's your retainage option. We go into our retainage option. And then boom, right now we're in the AP retainage release screen. Previously, this is what we saw, right? Very cool. We can drill down into all of our details, but now it's on its own tab called General, and then the retainage release. Here's the export to CSV, which could be quite beneficial for some people. So, and then the same thing in AR, guys, just really easy. Same thing in here. Go into viewer edit. You see the general tab, what we saw before. Retainage release details here. Now, excess billing. Let's go into there. If you go into a project contract, right, and then you go into a line, you will see, like this is if I was going to add a line, the billing option that I showed you on that slide. Before, if we had time material, only had that no maximum. Now, progress billing, no maximum option pops. Before, a specified amount and total revised price. Okay, so that's where all of those items live. And really, guys, that is everything I have for you today. Short and sweet. If you need any help, you need have any questions at all, please make sure to reach out to us at support@ethosystems.com. I mentioned this on the previous webinar that we are implementing a new support system within Ethos. We're really excited about it. Integration with HubSpot. We have a new support manager as well, Rosanna. Most of you have probably met her by now if you've been dealing with the support queue. She's amazing. And we're going to be doing an email blast here eventually on the new system, because you'll be able to go in and manage your own cases and tickets and see where your cases are. So if you reach out directly to a consultant, they might tell you we have this new process and direct you to the queue, just so we can track things better and make sure we get to the help to you in a timely fashion. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you for attending.